NASCAR crowned 3 champions this weekend, and the Hub has the inside story.
Jimmie Johnson makes it a 6-pack, taking another step towards tying some of NASCAR's greatest legends.
Yes, yes, yes! Thanks, you guys. What a race team.
The champ joins us to talk about what it means to be back on top.
Matt Kenseth finished runner-up in the championship hunt, but his spirits aren't crushed.
It's been the best season of my Cup career. It's just been unbelievable.
All NASCAR, all the time, starting now on the Hub. It is Champions Monday here on NASCAR Race Hub. We're presented by Ram. Thanks for joining us, Danielle Trotta, alongside Adam Alexander.
Hey there.
And wow, we crowned 3 great champions over the weekend in Homestead.
All I need to say is Jimmie Johnson, he is big time. 12 seasons in the Sprint Cup Series, 6 titles. Those 6 championships coming in the last 8 years.
And I'll give you this, 6 is wild for Jimmie Johnson.
Yes, they are.
Wrote this down, right? So 6
you have
titles.
Notes today?
Well, there were so many, I couldn't memorize it.
All right.
6 titles, 66 Cup wins, first to win a championship in the Gen 6 car, 6 wins on the season, and he finished in the top 10 62%
I think this means
of his starts.
The Ram race highlights are here. You saw Jimmie, you saw the trophy, Matt and Kevin trying to pull off the upset. And on the pole, Matt Kenseth, he led him to the green.
The drive for 6 began. Kenseth, setting sail early, though, got a crucial bonus point for leading a lap, and Harvick charged from 6th to briefly take the lead from Kenseth on lap 15. Johnson started 7th, took 2nd away from Harvick 2 laps later. Check it out, 1, 2, 3 in points running.
But it wasn't long before Kevin Harvick started losing the handle on the 29 car. He was 8th by lap 48 and knew he could keep dropping back if they didn't make some changes. Here's 29.
These guys out right around in front of me are just substantially better.
The field came to pit road under caution for the 3rd time on lap 69, but JJ had a little trouble finding his pit stall.
He used that light in pit board. I almost missed you guys as he was using it. Yes, step forward. I'm on the other side of it. I couldn't see it.
Check out the 48 car, restart lap 95. Johnson spins the tires, gets a friendly tap from Paul Menard, and luckily doesn't lose any positions.
Things went from bad to worse for Kevin Harvick as he falls all the way back to 25th. The 29 team had no choice but to bring Harvick to pit road under green lap 117.
Kenseth, meanwhile, dominating. He led 129 of the first 139 laps, battling Dale Jr. just past halfway. Jr. finally cleared Kenseth for the lead on lap 142, and Matt relayed a message to NASCAR's most popular driver as to why he raced him so hard.
Telling I was trying to make sure I led the multiple laps. One reason I held him up. Okay, buddy. 10-4.
Uh-oh. Scariest moment of the day for Jimmie Johnson.
Look
came
out.
during a restart. 74 to go. Jeff Gordon gets a bad start. Kenseth checks up behind him. Woo! Woo! Yikes! Trying to avoid disaster, Jimmie somehow keeps the 48 from spinning. And with the championship on the line, he was very concerned about damage to that 48 race car.
Left front fender, please. You're good, man. You're good.
Kevin Harvick, meanwhile, used pit strategy and some cautions to get the lead back, but Brad Keselowski took it away from him with 53 to go. It wasn't long before the 29 had fallen outside the top 10.
The leaders making their final stops, 32 to go. Kenseth and Johnson both take 4 tires and restart 4th and 12th, respectively, 28 to go.
Denny Hamlin took the lead from Dale Jr. with 24 remaining. Then Jr. and Kenseth going at it for second, but neither of them had anything for that FedEx Toyota.
That was some good racing. This, though, was the best. Denny Hamlin in victory lane, but all eyes on Jimmie Johnson winning 6.
Thanks, you guys. What a race team. You're the best out there, buddy.
I think that's a fair statement, Chad. Jimmie Johnson finishes 9th and clinches his 6th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series title.
And he further cements his place among NASCAR's greatest. He is now just 1 title away from joining King Richard and Dale Earnhardt as the only drivers ever to win 7 Sprint Cup Series championships. Final standings in 2013. Oh, what a year it was. Johnson finishes 19 in front of Matt Kenseth, who led all with 7 victories this season. Kevin Harvick, who had a chance to get the title going into the season finale, ends up 3rd, 34 out. Kyle Busch, best ever finish in the chase, was 4th, and Dale Jr. completes the top 5.
Our Ram Guts and Glory stat now looks a lot better than my chicken scratch. Here are those numbers we mentioned. Staggering. Certainly sparks a conversation on greatest of all time. 6 titles in 12 full seasons, the fastest driver to ever win 6 championships. He's won 6 of the last 8. And worth noting, Jimmie Johnson, the only driver to appear in all 10 seasons of the Sprint Cup chase format.
And now NASCAR Race Hub, happy to welcome in the 6-time Sprint Cup champion, Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie, congratulations. And after last night's race, Chad Knaus said, we are going to have a painful party. So how was the post-race celebration?
He was accurate with that. I've had a couple hours of sleep, slept on a plane ride to New York, and definitely struggling this morning. More so just the lack of sleep. By the time we got on the racetrack, it was probably 1 o'clock, and then spent some time with friends and my crew, and had a good time for sure.
We appreciate you coming on with us. I heard the party was fantastic, and you deserve every minute of the celebration. And I couldn't help but notice on that championship stage, Jimmie, you were celebrating at 6:48 p.m. Eastern.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
We've had a goofy thing with numbers for a long time, so that's just fitting perfect.
So you talk about numbers, Jimmie, and there were some numbers leading into the chase that weren't very good. Your results late August, early September, the worst 4-race stretch you have had perhaps ever in your career. So what was your confidence level as you got into the playoffs?
And it was still pretty high because a few of those tracks we were running very well at and had issues that took us out. So I felt like we had speed in our cars. And then we were at 2 tracks that we don't see anything like them in the chase, which is Bristol and Richmond. So it was easier for me to shrug it off in the team and just focus on the 1.5 mile stuff and the speed that we've had on those larger tracks, and knowing that the chase is made up of so many of those tracks really helped us kind of look forward and not stress too much about the start of the chase, and we got off to a quick start.
Well, Matt Kenseth got off to a quick start too, Jimmie. Wondering your mindset after Kenseth rips off the first 2 in that 10-race chase. Was it Dover where you guys really felt you had your swagger back, or did that not sway you guys at all?
Well, it's hard not to let it sway you some. I mean, we knew Matt was going to be tough. He's always a tough competitor, and then what he has going on at Joe Gibbs with his team and the bond that they have and the speed they're able to get out of the race cars. Those 2 races sent a huge message to everybody in the field, and we were able to chip away a little bit at it each and every week. Talladega, we got a little bit more. Martinsville, we thought we might get some, but he took a little back. And then, really the race in Richmond kind of set the tone, and it just shows how difficult the chase is, and you can't have a bad race. In my first championship I won, I think I had 2 or 3 bad races in 2006, and anymore you need 10 great races to be the champion, and we were able to pull that off this year. Last year we came up short because we missed on 2, so it's a tough field out there.
Jimmie, Danielle mentioned the amazing start that Matt got off to in the chase, but let's go to this weekend at Homestead. You had a huge lead and could have been playing defense, but the bottom line is Matt comes out, he wins the pole, they were good in practice. What was the mentality of your race team Friday and Saturday as you got ready for yesterday's race?
Really, it's the best attempt that we've had at making a championship weekend feel like a normal race weekend. I think experience helps with that, and then also the fact that we were down there testing 2 weeks ago, that put a lot of confidence in us and the package that we were bringing to the racetrack. We had a plan if the car was handling, understeer, oversteer balance, whichever direction it went. We had a plan and knew what we wanted to do and try. So that helped us keep things calm, and we had a great weekend. We qualified 7th, ran up front. I would have loved to have led a lap. I couldn't get by Matt early in the race, was trying pretty hard, and I knew I wanted to maintain track position in case we got late in the race and something goofy was going to go on with those restarts. And unfortunately, we're in an okay position where we're running on the racetrack, but we still had a really scary moment on one of those restarts, and I thought Matt and I's seasons both were going to end there on the front straightaway.
Jimmie, hang tight. We got more with you after the break.
Okay.
Thanks, Jimmie. After the break, we want to know, how did his closest chase rival take defeat? We'll hear from Matt Kenseth about his title bid that came up just short. Plus, 6 is big for Jimmie, but what does it mean overall to the Hendrick dynasty? Mr. H weighs in next.
He had been there 5 times before, but it never gets old celebrating a championship. Jimmie Johnson, Chad Knaus, and the entire 48 team doing it long into the night in South Florida.
The 6-time Sprint Cup Series champion, Jimmie Johnson, joining us from New York City now. Jimmie, let's pick up where we left off, talking about your team. Chad Knaus said at the start of the chase that he feels you guys are still in the stages of infancy in some ways, which I think is quite surprising to some people on the outside looking in, but some young team guys, some young guys going over the wall. Wondering if you and Chad stepped up in that leadership role, more so this year than in previous, but you got to say, when it was on the line yesterday, those guys got it done.
Yeah, they really did, and we have a great system in place to train the over-the-wall guys, and a very competitive environment for them to live in, and it's a tough environment because there's somebody knocking on their door, for each position on the over-the-wall group to take their jobs, and I don't envy their position, but I appreciate their work ethic and dedication to getting the job done, and they did an amazing job all season long. And then when you get to the engineering staff, we had some new engineers this year that Chad really had to build faith in and develop and work and bring along in our system. And we started the season with a win in Daytona and kept building on that throughout the course of the year. So yeah, there was a lot of new blood inside of the 48 team this year. But Chad does an amazing job of leading people, and I think our environment in our shop does as well. Steve Letarte has a great influence on every member of our race team, and obviously the Hendrick way plays a big difference too.
Jimmie, I know a championship run has got to be chock full of stress, but as you look back on the last 10 races, I mean, you're celebrating today, feeling good about the title you have in hand, but over the course of the 10-race chase, are you able to be in the moment and enjoy it every step of the way?
It's hard. I mean, I'm getting much better at it as the years go by. And it's tough to keep a lighthearted point of view when you're competing and chasing your dreams. Everybody gets really serious in those moments. But over the years, I've been able to change it a little bit. It still is very serious and stressful and intense, but I'm enjoying it a lot more now than I ever have, and it's definitely a better way to live life and much more enjoyable.
Jimmie, the age-old debate, our drivers, athletes, came up on our network on Friday night, sparked an interesting conversation, one I thought you handled with a lot of grace and class, by the way, on Twitter. But wondering, your physical shape right now, the way you run, cycle, train, are you in the best physical shape you've ever been in? And does that translate onto the racetrack and help your mental focus?
Without a doubt, to both. Yes, I am in the best shape I've ever been in. It's not a big deal to lace up and go run 20 miles, cycle 100, swim long distances as well. So I didn't know I had this in me. I've always had an interest in triathlons and thought that an Ironman would be something cool to try to accomplish. And hopefully I can find an off weekend to train for and compete in one day. But yes, we are athletes, as everybody knows, in our industry, and hopefully one of these days we can win the debate. And we win it one small victory at a time. And I think Donovan has opened up a big can of worms, and hopefully he'll take a few of the invites that were passed his way and come and learn about our sport some more. And I think he'll turn into a champion of our sport and really promote our sport once he knows more about it.
So Jimmie, what invitation is on the table? Now you have me intrigued.
Well, I know Gordon offered up an invite. I did yesterday as well with one of the interviews I did post-race. And that's come on out. Come check it out. Come see it. Give you a ride in a car. Take you to a local karting track. And you don't have to get into a Sprint Cup car on a big racetrack to go out and understand the athleticism involved. And I'd really like him behind the wheel. Riding shotgun's one thing, but to actually put your hand-eye coordination to the test and see what athleticism is really there. That's what I would like for him to experience.
Love it.
I know Donovan is on our payroll, but Jimmie, in this situation, my money is definitely on you. I want to flash back to when you won 5 consecutive titles. And the curiosity for me always was, how do you continually motivate yourself for more? Now you've got 6. Next up is 7, putting you on an even line with Petty and Earnhardt. How hungry are you now to go get more, realizing what the next step is on the ladder?
Yeah, I'm as hungry as I've ever been, and I think that it's something in the way I was brought up and raised. There's also as a team, I've worked my entire racing career to get to this point and to be able to know my craft and know my sport and manage it well and be successful at it. And I feel like I've just kind of got here. I've been racing for 33 years now. And in the last 5 or 6, things have really been in control. So I'm in no rush to end this, to stop it, because I've been trying so long to get in this zone, and I'm enjoying this zone that we're in. So there's no guarantees on success still being there and lasting long, but I know my work ethic and my teams, and we'll keep trying.
Jimmy, we want you to enjoy the hashtag six-pack, but a fan wanted to know if next year it's hashtag Revin for 7. What do you think of that?
I guess I need to think one up. That's a good one for sure. I don't know what it'll be. 6-pack was kind of easy to come up with, and 7 seems to be a little bit trickier.
Yeah, well, you have some time to come up with something. We hope you enjoy it. We will see you in Las Vegas in just a few weeks. Your time is precious, so we appreciate you coming on today and all of what you guys were able to accomplish this year. It was truly awesome, Jimmy. Congratulations once again.
Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Danielle, he may have won the title, but it's never easy. In fact, let's go back to the 4 races prior to the chase. We talked to Jimmy about it. Blew the engine at Michigan, went to the garage way too early. Caught up in David Rudimann's spin at Bristol. Spent a lot of time in the garage. Turned around behind Jeff Burton at Atlanta, and then 1 week later cut a tire at Richmond. Each of those races, the now 6-time champion finished outside the top 25. Joining us on NASCAR Race Hub, the dynamic duo, crew chief extraordinaires, Jeff Hammond and Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, whatever you want to say. We can describe you guys in so many ways. Those are the nicest at this stage
Just leave
of
it
the
right
show.
there. Leave it right there.
we just saw the adversity that Jimmy Johnson faced. Late in the regular season, didn't seem to impact him. They've now got 6 titles.
No, and that's what really makes this team so exceptional, because of the fact we all saw that chink in the armor, you might say, coming in those final 4 races as we headed into the chase, and got to thinking, man, this is anything but a championship team, especially when Matt Kenseth jumped out there, put 2 wins on the board, and Jimmy and them didn't really falter. They kind of got back in stride, and next thing you know, Larry, they really showed us what they were made out of, and I think that's what makes them so unique, and I think this win this year so special.
Well, as they've done 5 other times, they opened the lid and threw the chase switch. But yeah, what they do on the racetrack impresses me. But it's always easy to be a good race team when things are going good. But where they are so good is when things are going bad. Let's go back to that first chase race at Chicago when they had the jack failure on a pit stop. They didn't panic. They passed another jack across the wall, completed a pit stop, lost a few positions, and rallied to get a top 5. Go back to Phoenix last week when they had that issue with Carl Edwards, and Carl Edwards sent Jimmy up the racetrack here, got a bunch of stuff on his tire. Immediately, Chad Knaus did the math and said, you know what? If we pit right here, we can make this race on one more stop. They come to pit road, change 4 tires. He restarts 26. Within 20 laps, he was back in the top 5. Same thing yesterday on that restart. They did not panic when they thought they may have had a fender problem. They did have the luxury of getting a caution about 13 laps later to repair that fender, but they never panic, whether it's something that's happened on pit road or on the racetrack.
And the thing is, Larry, you and I both have worked with drivers. You bang together like that in a championship chase like they're in right now. Most drivers would have went off. I mean, oh my God, I've been wrecked. How bad's my car? What does Jimmy do? He turns right around and calls and says, would somebody please look at my left front fender? Please is what he used. Please look at it. So calm, so collected, and once he said it's okay, what did he do? He got back up on that wheel, and here he came back to the front, just like Larry's been saying. It's all about knowing how to deal with the pressure when it matters the most, and these guys are the best. Jimmy Johnson is the man.
Matt Kenseth comes out, wins the first 2 races in the chase. Jimmy Johnson, top 5 in both, turns the table the next week by winning at Dover. The guy looks pressure in the eye, punches it in the nose, and that's why today we're celebrating him as one of the best all time. And yeah, oh, by the way, he's an athlete too. Perhaps he could play some hoops. Tonight, we got hoops right here on Fox Sports 1. Vermont and Providence doing battle at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And at 8, Monmouth and Seton Hall doing battle on Fox Sports 2. The Fox family of networks, your home for Big East basketball.
We have a cool story on that 6-time athlete next. His chassis number 797, the machine behind it all. We'll tell you how Jimmy and the 48 team came across this diamond in the rough. And Paul Menard's 2013 season goes kaboom. Our experts break down what caused the fire and tire explosion next.
Johnson dominates the Monster Mile and wins the third race in the chase.
Max points, my man. Max points. Well done. Very proud of you. You drove your ass off there. Good crew, good job. Everybody, mechanics, thanks for all the hard work.
You want the turning point for Jimmie Johnson in this year's chase? I give you the Monster Mile. He got his first of 2 chase victories there, leading like 243 of 400 laps. And perhaps the reason he was so successful on that Sunday afternoon in the first state, he was driving a car, number 797, that he fell in love with.
I feel like Ray Dunlap talking chassis numbers here, but yes, it is true. So
I wouldn't admit that.
Why did the 48 team pick this particular chassis to make that championship run? When did they realize it was special? Jimmie Johnson shared a little behind-the-scenes info about the magical chassis number 797.
There's no name. We just go off a number system with the car, and you know, the car, I think I ran in Dover earlier in the year, and the car performed very well.
Jimmie Johnson from 24th on the grid to first in just a little over half the race.
And at Michigan in August, I crashed in practice in our primary car, and this car was a backup.
Trouble, turn
Big
four.
trouble four. Turn four.
Get the back up.
That's a 48.
Crap. In final practice, he is spun in turn 4, and they are already unloading the backup car. They have 30 minutes to turn this car around from the hauler to the track.
We got it on the track, made a few laps, and right away, there's just something that felt really good about it.
This might be one of the most impressive things I've seen in a while, to get this car out, get it on the racetrack. Not that, that's normal. What's impressive is how fast he's running. His first lap on the racetrack in his backup car matched what he had just got out of the car he wrecked.
We don't know why. I mean, we look at all the numbers from Aero and you know, all the things that go with it, all the tools that we have to measure what's going on with the race car, and there's nothing that stands out, but it just feels better. It's a more comfortable car for me to drive, and that alone is what kept this car in rotation and why we're bringing it back.
Final lap for Jimmie Johnson at Texas.
Looks like it is going to be about that easy for Chad Canals and Jimmie Johnson. A very dominating performance so far today.
Jimmie Johnson is going to lead 255 of 334 laps. Outstanding indeed. The winner in Texas, Jimmie Johnson.
Nice job, guys. Way to come here prepared to get it done.
Performance at Texas and Dover the second time certainly helps, but you know, I told Chad after the Michigan race, let's put this one on the side and use it as often as possible.
That's some pretty cool inside stuff. Nothing magical about the car, just felt right to Jimmie Johnson. Got to ask 2 former crew chiefs about this. You guys ever stumble upon a diamond in the rough?
Well, I bet you Jeff has it, but in our time as a crew chief, it was much easier to do because you had so many liberties that you could do things with the chassis, with the body. But you look at these guys today, they're in such a tight box of rules with body, with everything about that race car. It's very hard to have one that's a little better than another car.
You know, the thing is, I can go back real quick, and I know 2 cars that Darrell Waltrip tell you that really had huge effects as far as his career is concerned. One was named Kermit in '81, who won his first championship with, and the other one was 1989, a car called Betty. And Betty was being bad when he won the Daytona 500. So, yeah, you have your favorite cars. And this particular one we're talking about, when you look at some of the way the box scores are, that one car was able to outpoint Matt Kenseth total of 17 points in just 2 races. And how much did he win by?
19 points.
So that car, I mean, it was right there when he needed it to get him a little bit of an advantage.
Now, I nicknamed a few cars, but it's not names I can say on Race Hub. But normally when a driver likes the feel of a race car, it's something to do with what he feels with the front end, that he can feel where the front end's at, he can feel the front tires gripping. Whenever they like a race car, that's normally where it's at, in the feel of the front end.
Hey, it's like our buddy Darrell Waltrip likes to say, it's like a good pair of shoes. When you put them on, they're comfortable. And that's the way a race car is. When it fits a driver, when he sits down in it, he becomes one with the car. And I think that's what Jimmie Johnson's saying about this particular race car. When he got in it, he had confidence. He knew that no matter what adjustments they made, the car would respond, and that's key also.
When Jimmie Johnson's comfortable, watch out. Take a look at these numbers and what he did in chassis number 797. Started it out in Dover, then he said, let's put it to the side, Chad. We'll save it for the chase. They ran it at Charlotte, finished 4th. Texas, you remember, blistered the field with it, and it got the job done last night in the season finale. Chassis number 797, bringing Jimmie his 6th title en route to finishing 9th. So Jimmie Johnson got number 6. Matt Kenseth was looking for number 2, fell just short, but still a lot to be proud of. Here's your 2nd place finisher in this 2013 season.
Yeah, it was a fun night, except for whatever happened in the restart. We got a little damage and got behind. And then, Denny had a real stout car, and he got me then. I finally found a groove that helped my car a little bit. We were way tight at the end, and I was like, man, I'm going to go get him. And then I just couldn't get there. A year ago, we had no idea what this year, held for me. And it's, statistically and how we've ran and everything has been the best season of my Cup career. I mean, we came up short of the championship, but, it's just been unbelievable.
That's the mark of a veteran right there. Really has a great mindset after what was an unbelievable season. I hope the 20 team didn't leave Homestead last night, Jeff, with their heads held low, because they have so much to be proud of.
Oh, they've got so much. You're exactly right. When you think about the way this team started out, even at Daytona, even though they blew an engine there, they came out of the box letting everybody know that Matt Kenseth and this 20 team were going to be something to have to deal with, and they sure enough turned the whole season around, got on track, won those 7 races, and to me, I think they rejuvenated Matt Kenseth. I've seen a side of him that I haven't seen back even when I worked at Roush Fenway. He is so much having fun, and I love to see that in a driver. He had a little bounce in his step, and he looks like he's ready to really get up on the wheel in 2014 and make a big challenge.
Yeah, even though it was their first year together, they're racers, and we know they have to be disappointed to come up 19 points shy, especially after that run at Phoenix. But to look at their season, Jeff mentioned the 7 wins. That's the most of any team, any driver. 20 top 10s, 3 poles, something Matt Kenseth doesn't normally do is qualify up front, including this past weekend at Homestead, and he led almost 1,800 laps. Wow. So they absolutely have nothing to be disappointed about. And the thing that impresses me about this 20 team this year, they ran well at all types of different tracks, especially at tracks that Matt's not run that well at, like Loudon and Martinsville.
Yeah.
The only thing they got a challenge on right now, Larry, is can they come out and overcome this, finishing second slump that we keep pointing out. A lot of teams, after finishing second, they don't do well the following season. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge right now for Matt Kenseth as well as Jason Ratcliffe, not let that happen.
Absolutely.
And I don't think it will.
Yeah. Matt Kenseth entering 2014 with lots of momentum. Paul Menard wrapped up his season last night with a very scary moment, Adam.
It was actually going good for Menard. He qualified 12th, running inside the top 10. Coming down the back straightaway, he said, you need to pit. That car's on fire. So he got to pit road, watched the crew goes around to service the right side. The tire on fire, and it blows out right there. Someone could have been hurt bad. No one was. You look at this from the other angle. Check out the right rear tire just exploding. Menard finished in the 39th position. Here's Matt Clark with Teardown.
Joining me today, Chris Andrews, former Cup crew chief, current race engineer here at the Geico Ford. For Booty Barker, you're subbing because he is slacking today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to talk about the 27. First of all, Chris, let's set the table. We talk about brake temperatures, brake rotors. What kind of temps were you looking at on that car for that intermediate track?
At Homestead, everyone runs a little bit of brake opening, probably 500, 600, 700 degrees at the rotor at most.
So definitely hot enough to get a fire started.
Get a fire started, yeah.
All right, so how did this thing get started?
Well, you probably saw earlier in the event, Paul Menard was in that kind of chain reaction on the restart there, had some damage at the right rear and cut a tire.
And then?
They come in, they replace the tire, but there's some leftovers.
So they didn't exactly get all the rubber cleared, which is not uncommon.
Usually not a problem.
Okay, but what happened because they didn't get it cleared?
Probably this extra rubber riding around in the right rear is rubbing up against the rotor, catches on fire. When everyone caught up on television here, a car sitting in the pit box, it's got a right rear tire on it with 75 PSI in it, and a wad of rubber on fire right next to it, right? Everyone's heard a birthday balloon pop.
And that's at how many PSI?
That's, 2 PSI. That gets your attention at a birthday party. Now there's a 75 PSI tire there with a fire right next to it, and it was a substantial boom.
Absolutely. Now, fueler Matt Kruder, who was the fueler for that 27 car, tweeted last night that he had never seen in 17 years over the wall pitting a car something like that happen. Definitely a way for the 27 to end the season with a bang.
Nice.
Dale Jr. made a beautiful pass to the lead late in the race, but he came up 2 spots short of getting his first win of the year. We hear from NASCAR's most popular driver, and we also talk to the boss. He's got 11 championships. How many does he think Jimmy can get?
Scary moment here, the restart lap 193. Slow cars in front of Jimmy Johnson fighting for control of the 48. Check out Chad Knaus's reaction. Banging into the 20 car, but able to make the save. The incident knocked Johnson back in traffic to 23rd. The 48 crew, though, pulled out the damage from the fender. JJ worked his way back to a 9th place finish. That is today's Fast Action Recap, presented by Aleve. 2 pills all day strong, all day long. But in all the excitement over Jimmie Johnson's 6th championship, we can't forget Denny Hamlin grabbed his only win of the year, snapping a 39-race winless streak.
I was going to have to be Dale Jr., which I knew he was going to be very hungry to get a win. And obviously, his car was the best in the long run. Mine was best in the short run. And it just was just a long enough run for us right there at the end to hold him off. And teammate, thanks to Matt for holding him up as long as he could anyway. But, you know, what a duel at the end. You know, we're 2 and 3 wide at times, especially on that last restart. This is what we needed to end our season. I mean, as bad as our season was, and, you know, as very little positives that I can think about it. Winning the most poles was one positive, and now winning the final race and keeping our streak alive was another great accomplishment. So I'm just so pleased and so happy, and now that we get 2 months to get back healthy 100% and start next year strong.
Denny Hamlin smiling, Dale Earnhardt Jr. not so much. 44 laps to go. Made this nice pass for the lead, getting around Hamlin and Keselowski. That is what I call riding the rim, my friends. But Jr. couldn't hang on. Denny Hamlin got by him. So did teammate Matt Kenseth. Jr. finishes in the 3rd position, but he had a great time on Sunday night.
I did have a good time. I'm really, really disappointed. You know, we came so close to winning tonight and felt like we had the car to do it. But I think we're showing everybody what we're capable of, and we get everything good and get everything working in the right direction.
That battle with Matt Kenseth, what was the problem? He was like running the perfect line, it seemed, so you couldn't get by.
You know, the 11 was just close enough in front of us to dirty the air right against the fence, and our car really didn't have the right rear hooked up in the lateral grip like it did the run before. So when I get up against the wall and in that dirty air, and Matt's just right to my left, it just really wasn't clean air, and I couldn't maximize myself off the corner. And, you know, I got with Matt a few times and just couldn't make a pass work.
A lot of people now, with this run that you had in the chase, are going to be saying Junior is one of the favorites for the championship next year.
You know, they've said that before, but we ain't never put anything like this together. These last 9 races have been something else. So, yeah, I think they can say that and feel good about it.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the highest finisher among the Hendrick cars in Sunday's race. It's been quite a year for Mr. H. All 4 of his cars qualified for the chase and combined to win a 4th of the races in 2013. And while most are talking about Jimmie's 6th title as a driver, we can't forget it was number 11 for Rick Hendrick as an owner. That's the most all time. Bob Dillner caught up with the man in charge.
You know, it's unbelievable. When I got into the sport, you know, we almost didn't make it through the first year, and I never thought I'd win one of these things. And now to see Jimmie win 6 and for us to have 11, it's unbelievable. It's a tribute to all the folks back home that have worked so hard. And you know, the competition is pretty tough out here, but these guys are really good. They know how to race for the points, and I think they can win more than 7. I think it's Jimmie's in his prime, and Chad, and I think if we have good racing luck, it could be 9 or 10. So I hope so. I hope so. So I think Parcells said, "You are what your record says you are." And I don't know how you can argue with that, with the level of competition that's out there today, that he's one of the greatest that ever drove a car. And his car control and how smart he is and how he works to get the chassis like it ought to be. And Chad's the same way. They both just, they never give up, and they never quit trying new things, and they are always digging to be better. And you know, I'm just glad I don't have to race against them.
I want to steal the line that Mr. H just used. You are what your record says you are. And having said that, Hendrick has now won 11 titles as an owner. One word to describe Rick Hendrick.
Inspirational. I mean, I've worked for the man. I know what he does for you when he comes into the shop. You want to do for this guy. He has given so much to the sport. I mean, his family, Papa Joe and he, whenever they first kind of started their team, they decided no matter what it was going to take, they were going to figure out a way how to compete with Richard Childers and Junior Johnson and Bud Moore and the Petties. And he did. And he put together the right kind of people, and he got everybody motivated to the point that they don't want to leave him, and they never want to let him down. And I think that's what makes him so good. Because when one team falters, another team picks up the banner and they run with it.
Yeah, and I would have to say respected, because very few people leave Hendrick Motorsports, but when you look at people that work for Rick, like Jeff, like Ray Evernham, like Darrell Waltrip, Ken Schrader, they are still close friends with Rick Hendrick. They well respect him. They know that they can go to Rick for anything. The other thing that I admire about Rick Hendrick, he demands perfection, but he lets his teams do their job. He doesn't get in there and give them pep talks. He just says, here's what we're expecting to accomplish this year, and they normally respond.
What do you say to Rick Hendrick's comments there? I hadn't heard him say this before. He thinks the 48 could win 9 or 10 titles together.
You ever heard the old saying, when E.F. Hutton speaks, you listen? Well, when Rick Hendrick says something like that, folks, he knows what he's talking about. Not only does he know the car business, he knows racing, because, again, he's a racer at heart, and a lot of people don't think and give him credit for that. He's driven race cars. He's worked on cars, drag cars, and everything like that. He's not just what you would think, a guy who's made a lot of money as far as and wanting to be in racing. He is a racer.
And I'm sure Chad Knaus and Jimmy will say, let's just take them one at a time, Mr. H. Let's think about number 7 first.
There were some other champions decided this weekend. Coming up, we've got all the wild action from Saturday's nationwide race. Plus, we hear from the new champ, Austin Dillon. Find out why the final race had him ready to give up. Stay with us as the hub is rolling. It's Championship Monday on NASCAR Race Hub, and we are presented by RAM Ram.
The Nationwide Series displayed the tightest point battle among championship weekend. Sam Hornish and Austin Dillon separated by just 8 points, with Austin holding the advantage, and the title fight did not disappoint. This championship coming down to the wire. Austin Dillon looking to become just the 2nd driver in NASCAR history, make it 3 to win a Camping World Truck and Nationwide Series championship. It was Sam on the pole leading the field to green, folks. He held the first 30 before giving up the lead to teammate Brad Keselowski. Austin Dillon struggling with his race car throughout the day, running outside the top 10 most of the race. Survived a few scares there as well. There we see Blake Cook get into the back of the 3 car. Later, Austin Dillon dodging trouble, getting around this wreck. A late caution, a fiery wreck makes it a big mess with 17 to go. NASCAR doesn't throw the red. We'll talk about that in a second. After 12 caution laps, we go green again, 5 to go. Brad Keselowski takes the win, and Austin Dillon finishing 12th. That's enough to win a championship over Sam Hornish Jr., who finished 8th. This has been the closest championship battle of the last month or so, down to just a 2-man race, and this is how it shakes out. Austin Dillon getting the championship over Sam Hornish by a mere 3 markers. You see the separation in competition. 3rd in the standings, 72 points back for Regan Smith. Here were the 2 championship guys. Austin Dillon, your champion, actually, post-race.
We worked hard the entire race. Our car wasn't there from the beginning. Really wasn't there at the end, but it was good enough. And Danny Stoutman kept me confident, kept me excited, telling me we can do this. And I'm telling you, it was such a hard race. Mentally, just, you know, you want it so bad, you want it, and it's there, and you can't get it. And nothing we did to that car made us better. And to be there at the end, I kept telling myself, I said, I can wreck it now, and we're going to be the champion. Or I can make it to the end and give ourselves a chance. We never gave up. I never quit mentally and stayed in the game.
Can't give away points throughout the year like we did at times. You know, some were the driver's fault, some were the team's fault, some were out of our control. So, man, we had it, you know, for most of the night, and I knew that, you know, Austin was, you know, obviously, you know, trying to take care of everything and, you know, make sure that he made it to the end. And then, you know, you have that late, you know, caution, and a lot of guys had tires and came. And what can I say? I mean, any other time there probably would have been a caution, but I mean, it's just one of those things where it wasn't meant to be tonight. So, you know, we just you know, take what we learned and try to do the best with it from here on out.
Unfortunate ending for Sam Hornish Jr., his future still unknown in NASCAR. And a shocking stat for Austin Dillon. He's the only driver in NASCAR history to win a championship without winning a race that season. Does that take away from his achievement, Jeff?
No, it does not, because, again, he had a really tough year. I mean, trying to race against some of the competition, whether it was Sam Hornish or Regan Smith or even the guys that, you know, like Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski, who were so dominant, you know, for Joe Gibbs Racing as well as Penske. They had to kind of like, you know, bear down and do what they could do and take what was given to them. And I think that's where he showed a lot of composure. And he was asked that question, is this going to be any less to you? Is it going to mean any less? He said, absolutely not, because I drove my heart out all year long to get to this position, and he held off a very determined Sam Hornish Jr. to be able to win this championship. No, he's not going to feel bad about it.
Austin certainly showed consistency throughout this 2013 season. Adam has more on where Austin's championship stacks up in the big picture.
Time for a game of NASCAR Championship trivia. There are two drivers that have won both a Cup and Nationwide Series title, Bobby Labonte and Brad Keselowski. There are three drivers that have won championships in both truck and nationwide competition. The most recent to join the fraternity, Austin Dillon, who claimed the prize at the nationwide level Saturday at the Homestead Miami Speedway. So Matt Crafton started driving full-time in the Truck Series in 2001. He didn't get his first win until 2008. In fact, he only has 3 victories in his career. However, he has been loyal, and on Friday night, his patience paid off as he claimed his first Camping World Truck Series championship. With the closing of the 2013 season comes big questions for the future of some of NASCAR's greatest contributors. We explain when the Hub continues. Stay with us. Ken Schrader has announced his retirement. We don't know exactly what the future is for Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, and Bobby Labonte, but their contributions to NASCAR have been huge. Look at their career numbers compared to Jimmy Johnson's. Over 3,000 starts, 86 wins, 1 championship. And then you look for Jimmy Johnson, 435 starts, the 66 victories, and of course yesterday claiming his 6th Sprint Cup Series title. Jimmy, great when it comes to the playoffs. Here are his career chase numbers. He's a winner in 24 of 100 races. What's that percentage, Larry?
24%.
Okay, good. He's led over 5,000 laps. Bottom line is, when the championship's on the line, number 48 delivers.
Yeah, Adam, and let's take that one step further. I think the six-pack sparks an interesting conversation about the greatest of all time. Some of the current drivers have said Jimmy Johnson is already there. Jeff and Larry, I'd love your take.
I've been around when Richard Petty was 1-7. I was around when Dale Earnhardt was 1-7. I've seen a lot of the great drivers from Cale Yarborough, Darrell Walter, Bobby Allison. And yes, I think he ranks right up there with the best of the best, if not the best driver I've ever had that privilege to get behind the wheel.
Yeah, I still find that I'm a little hesitant about comparing him to Richard Petty or Dale Earnhardt. But what is impressive about Jimmy Johnson and that 48 team, what they've accomplished, 6 championships in 12 seasons, where the competition is today. We've had 17 different winners in 2013. You think about all the rule changes, and then Gen 4, Gen 5, a wing and a spoiler, and now Gen 6. To me, that's what's impressive.
And now you
wait
know
for
I'm
it,
saying he's
wait
the best.
for it, wait for it. Only 97 days until the Daytona 500.
The countdown is already on. You know, let me tell you, you're unbelievable at math. You know that 24 out of 100 is 24%.
They even teach that in
and
Alabama.
now he's counting days on the calendar.
Yeah.
Way to go, Larry Mack.
I have a great calculator.
Who says a crew chief needs a calculator? With Hammond, McReynolds, and Trot, I'm Adam Alexander. See ya.